They're remaking Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. You can't do that. And now they're making Ghostbusters with only women. What's going on?
Have you seen these videos of AI cats? Basically, they're like these AI-generated sad cat story slideshows on TikTok. Let me show you some of my favorite examples. Let's start with what was I made for? Oh, this one's great. This one he shit himself. He shit his pants, and they're laughing at him. And he's getting made fun of. But wait, don't worry. He finds a girl cat to help him clean up his shit stain. And it's love. It's beautiful. Wait, where's the car crash one? This one he wants to get a PS5. He wants to get a PS5, and then he gets hit by a fucking truck. I've never even seen this one before. He drops his phone in the toilet, and then, so this one has more of an instructional vibe. He drops his phone into the toilet. And then, he cleans it up with toilet paper. He puts it in a bag of rice, I guess. I don't know. And those are kind of funny. It's like fun to watch those on their own. But you haven't even seen the craziest part, which is when they show these videos to kids, they immediately start bawling their eyes out.
Diusir. Nggak boleh, weh.
This is a real trend. There are literally tens of millions of views on videos of people showing their children sad AI cat videos, and they just immediately start, what? I shit my pants. It's so sad. I think part of the reason these videos are so fun to watch is because these kids are so new to the world and pure in the way that they're susceptible to having their emotions manipulated by media. Like, we watch these videos and it's just like, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I don't know why you would make it, but it's kind of funny. But when a 4-year-old watches these videos, the results are,
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
it's like they're realizing for the first time that the universe may have been created by a cruel god. But even though these clips of kids crying might just seem like silly, inconsequential fun, believe it or not, this is not that different from this.
We will make America proud
They're remaking Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. You can't do that. And now they're making Ghostbusters.
America safe again. Very fine people on both sides. And we will make America great again. God bless you and good night.
And I had a friend growing up who got radicalized on like those Discord servers, and he turned like basically a white supremacist. It's crazy. The thing is, on the internet, he got really radicalized, but he got radicalized fast. Like, one year this dude was like introducing me to Minecraft. The next year he was like, Hitler was a good economist. I was like, dude, what about Minecraft? He was like, what about Minecraft? Have you read like?
Content warning, this might seem obvious, but this video is about fascism, which means I'm going to implicitly or explicitly talk about all this stuff. But this isn't just a video about fascism, mind you, it's a video about propaganda. And if you watch this video to the end and I do my job right, you're not just going to learn something new about this ideology, you'll learn something new about the American political system as a whole. So let's talk about propaganda. People, including me and you, are kind of dumb. Because we are dumb, we often mistake good art and good entertainment that gets us emotional and excited for a good point. For an example, this is particularly obvious when you hear people talk about stand-up comedy. It's like a common saying that just because they can make people laugh and have opinions, comedians are the modern-day philosophers. But,
They go, a comedian is the modern-day philosopher, you know? Which, first of all, it always makes me feel sad for the actual modern-day philosophers who exist, you know?
they're not. Sometimes they're smart. Sometimes they're not. Usually they're not, to be honest. They're just people who are funny. That's fine. That's a good skill. It's a very difficult skill to develop, but no, they have nothing to do with, they're not Socrates. And the effect of people mistaking enjoyable art for a good point is made even worse when it's combined with the advancement of technology. And this is because new technology combined with art can help give people mind-blowing experiences that they had never conceived of before. This is sort of a silly example, but you might have experienced this if you've ever used a VR before. At least when I first used VR, there were no good VR games. They were like all mini games and stuff and like weird like experiences. It's like go on a hike VR. Whoa, shoot the guy with the arrow. You have a gun and there are targets. Every game was some variation of that. But because the technology was so new and groundbreaking and you'd never thought of actually being able to do that before, you just sit there in the headset like, whoa, you shoot the target with a gun? With a gun? You can shoot it with a gun? So you can only imagine how much that experience would be intensified if the game was actually good and how effective it might be at convincing you of something. How is this relevant to propaganda? Well, a similar thing actually happened with the origins of film, and it had a lasting impact on American culture and politics. In 1915, a Southerner, D.W. Griffith, released a film, Birth of a Nation. And it was truly the first ever blockbuster movie, the longest, most expensive, highest grossing movie ever made up till that point. It invented new camera techniques, like dramatic close-ups, movements, and cross-cutting. But at its release, it was met with nationwide protests. Why? Because it was a revisionist history movie about the Civil War that depicted these guys as the heroes. Yet, unfortunately, it is deeply intertwined with the early history of cinema, while simultaneously being a piece of white supremacist propaganda that bolstered the peak of the Jim Crow era and led to a refounding of these guys in 1915. But, unfortunately, this is, in the history of film, far from the only case of something like this happening. Propaganda is, in many ways, like the meow meow TikToks, the practice of getting an emotional rise out of people. The difference is that instead of manipulating people's emotions to make them sad just for fun, propaganda is the fuel that converts raw emotions into refined actions. Oh, earthquake. Is this the big one? Feel the rain on you. It happens to be the case with fascists that this is actually often done by being at the forefront of art and technology. The reason that this is so effective is because by exposing an audience to an art form that they've never seen before, they're much more susceptible to be unconsciously led to your evil political goals. For example, when we talk about stereotypes, many people know that German fascists were very fashionable. Hugo Boss famously designed these German uniforms. That's actually true. You can look that up. Which, you know, we all hate fascism, but drip is drip, dog. What do you want me to say? A lot of people know about their fashion. What a lot of people don't know is that they actually completely revolutionized the way that movies were used as propaganda. This happened way before the war, too. The mustache guy took power in 1933. Look at the screen. The mustache. You know what I'm talking about? The mustache guy. I can't say his name because the algorithm, but you know, that guy. By 1934, under the mustache guy's rule, all films were under strict censorship by the German government, and they began to take these reels into vans and tour around the country showing propaganda films to some 23 million people who would not have had regular access to cinema. Many of them probably never having seen a movie before in their entire lives. Leni Riefenstahl was a German director from the time who was particularly famous for using techniques, quote from her Wikipedia page, which later became industry standards, but which were groundbreaking at the time. Even to this day, many scholars consider her movies to be feats in documentary filmmaking. Roger Ebert, one of the greatest film reviewers of all time, famously gave one of her documentaries a perfect score, and I think that was in the 90s. And this is not a guy who's a Nazi. This is a guy who hates Nazis but loves cinema. You do lose points for fascism, in my estimation, but that's just me. I don't know. It's a bad look. It's not. You may have noticed how carefully worded this video has been.
Drip is drip, dog. What do you want me to say?
If you're like half watching this video while you're doing laundry or cooking or something, basically to summarize, they were dropping fascism edits. That's what was happening. They had the Andrew Tate music. And it's not some coincidence that these people ended up in power either. It's not like they were just making propaganda for fun as an independent project and then, you know, also took power through, not so nice means. It was a very planned out and strategic measure to use cinema as propaganda in this way. This is a quote from the Mustache Man about the importance of propaganda and the manipulation of people's emotions. You see, the great mass of workers only wants bread and circuses. Ideas are not accessible to them, and we cannot hope to win them over. Essentially, fascists understood that to get people to agree with their insanely radical ideology, it was in their best interest to do everything that they could to avoid talking about policy and just getting people completely emotionally invested in right-wing ideology. Just purely, they feel it, bro. And, it's easy to look at that, be like, wow, isn't that a fun piece of history? But, it's not like World War II ended and then everyone's like, okay, propaganda is bad, white supremacy is bad, that stuff's not gonna happen. It happens. It happens. As a matter of fact, the white supremacist tradition of using advances in technology to spread its terrible propaganda hasn't just stayed alive, it's adapted and become more effective in a lot of ways. How? Memes. This has been a very heavy video, for a reason. It's about a very serious subject, but let's just ask some fun questions. What is a meme? Is this a meme? Is that a meme? What is a meme? Let's have a thinking break. Let's have a thinking break. Come up with your own answer. Thinking break over. I don't care about your answer. Here's the real answer. A meme is an idea, usually a funny one, that spreads virally on the internet. And these ideas have forms like an image, a video, some text, or a sound. And we can therefore say that the creation of a form which virally encapsulates the idea behind the meme constitutes the art of memeing. You get what I'm saying? There's an idea behind the meme, some sort of reason you're making it. Making one of these types of media that adequately expresses the idea or perspective that you have in a very viral way that can be spread to a lot of people, that is the art form of memeing. And I'm not even saying this is like, haha, it's such a stupid, silly thing. What if we pretended memeing was like an art form? Like, seriously, this is happening in our real world and it's had influence on politics. This is where we're at. Kamala is Brad. It's an art form, mind you, that was enabled by technological advances. An incredibly powerful and popular art form that could be projected directly into the pockets of every single person on the globe. And for a long time, it was an art form that remained unused as an effective tool for political propaganda. That was until 2016.
We memed alt-right into existence, and it's now almost a household name. We didn't meme Donald Trump into existence, but I think we have inflected Donald Trump's trajectory, and at the very least, we've inflected how he's perceived.
This is Richard Spencer, a modern admirer of the mustache guy, let's say. He was the leader and organizer behind the Unite the Right rally in 2017, the Charlottesville riot, which was fatal and now holds an infamous place in American politics. He and other white supremacists, usually emerging from boards like 4chan and Reddit, have talked about the fact that they effectively used memes not just to help Trump get elected, but to shift the political conversation toward a more white supremacist narrative. They made memes about how immigrants are coming in stealing the election, about how Obama is a secret Muslim, which Trump still believes, by the way. Memes about how good the white picket fence with that is, and how they want to make it woke. That's what they want to do. The libs, they want Ronald Reagan, they want woke. And obviously we look at like these examples of conservative memes from 2016, which are, rough. But whether we like it or not, they effectively used memes. Anyone with conservative family members will tell you the way they get their political information is Facebook memes. There is a crisis in this country of uncles receiving all political information from memes they saw on Facebook groups titled January 6th Defense Fund. The Republicans and their sympathizers effectively used memes as a propaganda tool. The Democrats
Pokemon go to the polls.
did not. I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids. Oh, that woman. What you do to me, woman. A lot can be said and theorized about why right-wingers memes seemed to be a lot more effective during the 2016 campaign. Maybe Russian interference had some play. Maybe their audience is just more susceptible in the first place. Maybe the Democrats fielded two energizing candidates, whereas the Republicans comparatively had one candidate emerge above the other ones much quicker than the Democrats did, and so therefore their propaganda was able to be more centralized. Maybe there's truth to all of that, and those would all make good videos in perspective. Maybe. But, you know, just trying to weave together an interesting narrative here. Let's look at it from the perspective of the people making the memes. During the 2000s, as being chronically online became something that you could actually do for the first time, online boards appeared where people, usually like white dudes who were bullied or somehow othered by society, could gather and spend all day making and sharing memes. This is where incel culture, alpha male culture sort of begins to emerge. That would make an interesting video in and of itself. But the point is that without even realizing it, this band of self-identified losers we're just wasting all day making pictures of sad frogs, dunking on each other, sharing memes, posting pictures, eating their mama's chicken tendies. Everyone else is outside, living their life, making friends, being a human being. But these dudes were in their basement, training their Photoshop skills like the goddamn Karate Kid. Unconsciously, mind you, studying the art form of virality, how to summarize an idea with an image and some text. Fast forward to 2016, and to make a long story shorter than it should be, to be honest, a candidate, this guy, emerged. We all remember him. He began to prop himself up as a hero that was standing up to the big bad bully that was the political system. And for once in their lives, excited by the idea that there was hope for a candidate who would stand up for them, that they could help. These people realized that they could maybe be somebody through their one expertise. Memes.
Racist ideas, race-baiting ideas, anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant, anti-women, all key tenets making up the emerging racist ideology known as the alt-right.
This moment in and of itself sort of defines how memes rose to be an effective tool for propaganda in 2016. At this moment, 1 million incels on 4chan realized that the memes that they had been making could actually have a voice and affect real-world politics. At this point, we've talked about the Klan, we've talked about German fascism, and you might ask yourself, is this really the same thing as what happened in the South and in Germany? No, not the exact same thing. No, definitely not. I wouldn't say so. Yeah, Birth of a Nation and Leni Riefenstahl's films are definitely considered to be individual achievements of much greater artistic significance than your average frog drawing in MS Paint. I would say, wide scope of difference in a lot of ways. But it is similar in the vein that it's the first time that an art form, a very popular one, that has the potential for wide consumption by the masses, has been weaponized in this political way. The similarity deepens, especially when you consider that the target audience of the 2016 campaign would be generally older and therefore less familiar with memes, meaning that they were more susceptible to this art form that they didn't truly understand, much like how people who saw Birth of a Nation and Leni Riefenstahl's films for the first times would have just had less literacy when it comes to cinema in the first place because the art form was so new. But really, are memes really that powerful? And what was up with the cat thing? Why did you even bring that up? Let's look at a quote from a scholarly paper from 2020 that implicitly answers both of those questions by discussing an idea: metapolitics. The significance and influence of memes and more broadly internet culture on the 2016 presidential campaign, dubbed the Great Meme War by online pro-Trump supporters on alt-right hubs such as 4chan's Poll or Reddit's r/TheDonald, is also to be linked to the notion of metapolitics, notably used by key alt-right figure Richard Spencer. The concept of metapolitics aims at spreading certain themes and ideas among the general public by focusing on cultural and ideological issues rather than on actual politics. Despite being an incredibly important idea in the modern political landscape, metapolitics has a Wikipedia page that is about as short as they get. Metapolitics, as a concept, asks a simple question. What is the purpose of politics? In the late 20th century, French philosopher Alain Badiou, the late 20th century philosopher Alan B., who coined the term, he made the simple but also high-minded argument that the purpose of politics is not to just spark some philosophical debate among friends. The purpose of politics is to spark practical action and social change. The goal of politics is to get people to act and make society better, which gets you to ask a follow-up question. How do you do that? How do you get people to take action? Broadly speaking, the answer is simple. You get them to feel like it. Policy is impossible to understand. Do you know a person who knows a single thing about policy? You do? That guy's a nerd. Don't hang out with him, dude. Who wants to talk to that guy who's like, NATO, the European Union? What does that even, what? Can we just talk about the political and economic No, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that they're making Ghostbusters with girls. This creates a problem because the actual form, the actual essence of politics is boring crap. Taxation, tariffs, subsidies. 1,000 people just clicked off this video just because I said those words. I don't want to talk about that stuff. This is where memes became a useful solution to that problem, because instead of like expecting 1 million people to start taking action about boring crap that it's difficult for them to care about, you could just make a meme about how liberals are dumb because woke. And they're gonna make your kids gay. Are you saying there's woke on the other side? I don't like woke. This accomplishes the goal of metapolitics, albeit in a completely ethically questionable way. Rather than taking the time to educate everyone on why your policies are better, it pays to just devolve politics into a culture war where memes are the murder weapon. And while it's easy for us to say like, oh, how stupid are people that they actually fall for this crap, let's be honest. Most of us are completely victims to this. Either we've had like an anti-woke phase, or we've had like a woke phase where we buy too far into the culture war aspect of politics. Plus, and I'm gonna be honest, I can only really speak for myself here. I don't actually know anything really about how the government is run at all. If I'm being honest with you, I don't really know that much. And not to sound like a doomer, but I don't know if everyone can. Like, really. Maybe we can know enough to know who to vote for if we're given two choices. And maybe some of us are super well educated about one or two things. But to have a well and truly complete grasp on understanding, for example, what the presidency needs, everyone would need to be as well trained and researched as the president. And that's not going to happen unless the president is this guy.
Indiana Jones without...
This is not to be cynical or encourage being anti-political, right? It's just to address and talk about a constant dilemma that we're in. The truth is that some of the most important political decisions of the century have not been made on the basis of policy. They've been made on the basis of who is able to use propaganda to effectively rile up the masses via emotional manipulation. And it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. But in the modern day, what that means is who has the most exciting, emotionally charged online presence. Who has the best memes? And as ridiculous as that is, it's just as ridiculous to pretend like any of us are above this. As easy as it is for us to feel justified about every single one of our political decisions every single day, we open up our phones and we get mindlessly dragged into a culture war which actively erodes political discourse. As easy as it is for us to laugh at a bunch of stupid people who are incredibly susceptible to emotional manipulation through the use of political memes, that has become one of the preeminent strategies in running political campaigns, all political campaigns. And as easy as it is for us to laugh at videos of kids crying to pictures of AI cats shitting their pants, that's politics.
We will make America great again.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Crazy that President Obama was constantly chewing gum. Please save me, Donald Trump, please. And then on top of that, he took it out of his mouth, put it back. You can't do it. It's disgusting.
You exist in the context